Welcome to Modeling Monday, where I examine a real-world financial situation using Microsoft Excel. In this tutorial, we will look at the task of scheduling employees based on sales flow. Our objective? To analyze a store's hourly sales and adjust schedules to best serve the expected sales flow. We're going to take a number of steps that include calculating the percent of sales per hour. We're going to next count the number of employees working for that hour. We'll calculate the percent of available employees' hours per hour. That'll make more sense when we do it, I promise. 4, we'll calculate the difference between expected sales and scheduling. 5, we'll input schedule for 2 employees, and that'll be Larry and Cindy. And finally, we'll adjust the schedules and breaks as needed. So let's get started building our model. This workbook can be found on my website, financialmodelinginexcel.com/data. It's the data file using the worksheet called scheduling. The first step is we want to calculate the percent of sales per hour. You'll see here column R is blank. We have in column P the hours that the store is open, in column Q the number of dollars that were sold during each of those hours. So in order to calculate the percent, we're going to equal that amount of sales divided by the sum of the column, which is Q through Q, and then we hit enter, and we'll see that that particular hour, 4% of sales occurred. Now we can double click on the lower right corner, and that'll copy all the way down. Let's count the number of employees working for each hour. So what I've done is I've used our employees' names that go along column A, and then the hours that the store is open during the day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Next, I've notated every hour that the employee works with an X, except for when they are on break. I mark that with a B. Although that employee is working, they are not on the sales floor, so therefore they should not be counted. I've gone ahead and Tom through Mark. I've shown their schedules. However, Larry and Cindy here, there are floaters, and we'll be able to schedule them as we need them. So let's take a look and count the number of employees that are on the sales floor at any given hour. And to do this, we're going to use the COUNTIF. So that equals COUNTIF. The range, this will be the range. This will be from B4 to B12. And the criteria, what are we looking for? We're looking for that X. So that is our criteria. If anything else occurs, for instance B, it is not going to count. If we hit enter, we'll see that 1 employee is scheduled for that hour. We can copy this across and see how all our employees are on an hourly basis, how many we have. Next, we can look at the percent scheduled, and this is going to be as a percent of the total hours. In other words, we know how many hours total employees are working. We want to know what percent is working for that given hour. So let's take a look here. In this case, we're going to use a similar fashion, and that's equals, and that's that cell. We're going to divide it by the sum of our total hours, which will be right here. And now this one we're going to copy across, so we want to lock it. So we're going to hit F4, and what that's going to do is going to add $ to lock these references. And then we'll hit enter, and that we see that that accounts for 2% of our sales force. Then we copy that across. Next, we will match the percent of sales with the percent of scheduled on an hourly basis. To do that, we're going to use a VLOOKUP in cell B16. So let's enter VLOOKUP. There is a tutorial for VLOOKUP on the website. So go to Microsoft Excel Tutorials, that page on my website, and you'll find a VLOOKUP tutorial. So we're going to look up the value. And what are we looking up? We're looking at this particular time. And where are we going to find it? We're going to find it here in this table. And this table has 3 columns. Next, we'll put a comma. And what are we looking for? We're looking for column 3, which is column R, 1, 2, 3. So the third column, which will match the sales for that hour of the day. We'll hit enter, and we'll see that that percent was 4. So 4% of the sales occurred at 10 a.m., and that does match. Let's go back because we will need to lock these cells as well. And hit F4. And now we're able to copy it across. So hold on to that little guy in the bottom right corner. And now we see they match. The next step is we will take the difference between those two. So what are we trying to match up? The percentage of sales for that hour with the percentage of coverage. So how do we do that? The equal sign, the hour scheduled minus sales. And in this particular case, we'll notice that negative 2%, meaning that we have 2% less hours scheduled than of our sales. And this we can copy right across, no dollar signs needed. Now that we've got our model built, let's take a look at the data. Now, one thing to remember is that as we add Larry and Cindy shifts, that's going to add more hours worked, more breaks, and the numbers, the percentages will change. So where do we need some coverage? Well, we see we're missing some coverage here. We've got more sales than we do staff. And starting at about 3 p.m., we have more coverage. Well, I think we should take a look at Larry and Cindy working beginning early in the morning. All I'm going to do is take Mark's schedule here. I'm going to copy that, highlight these two, and I'm just going to paste the values as to keep all the formats the same. And let's see what that does to our figures. We see here that we've got a minus 5.7, so coverage is very, very light. However, these look pretty good. These look pretty good. They've mellowed out, gone towards the center. Well, why don't I just move a break? Let's see if taking Larry's break here instead of here changes the data. So I put a B in 1 to 1 p.m. Well, it's gotten a little better, but not a lot. What if I'm just going to take an X there. What if I made it an hour later and did that? Still minus 4.1. Well, what if I took Cindy's and moved it an hour earlier? Well, now that's some different numbers here. So we see minus 2, minus 2, minus 2.5, plus 2.7. They've gotten a little bit more towards the center and less mellow. I think that's a pretty good summation of some scheduling. So based on the information we've done, we've built a model just to analyze our sales on an hourly basis as well as our staff. There's no formula for finding the right coverage. However, we can use Excel to better map out how the day may go and where the hours are needed and best fit. I hope you've enjoyed this model, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one.